year and a half I've been trying to learn how to swim. I can't swim very well. Like, please allow me. I'm still trying. But I do like my Apple TV. I think it's the best out of all of them. I create a little short story to help convey my ideas a little bit better. What's going on, guys? My name is Fawaz and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, in today's video, we are going to be talking about why do we give up? Now, this topic is quite interesting. So this video is aimed for those who, it might be late at night, you're just chilling, maybe scrolling on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, even Reddit, who knows what you're doing. Just chill on those sites, and then it just sort of clicks that spark to just do whatever you had lingering at the back of your head. So it might be going to the gym, or it might be starting a YouTube channel, or going to a vacation. And then when morning rolls about, those feelings, those emotions you once had 6, 7 hours ago have just almost disappeared. When it comes to actually executing the plan, executing what you were thinking about literally a few hours ago, it's just a distant memory. And this video is also aimed for those who, after work, getting in, or maybe after socializing with your friends for a bit, you don't really have much to do for yourself afterwards. It's kind of like you're just really engaged in just low effort entertainment services. So you got your streaming services like, Netflix, Prime Video, Apple TV. But I do like my Apple TV. I think it's the best out of all of them. I say Apple TV on Prime Video. Anyways. So after that, maybe gaming, maybe just literally chilling on social media, and it's kind of like we gauge so much in low effort entertainment or services, whatever, and then it's kind of like we want to do more with ourselves. We want to do more with our life, but with our life, it mainly revolves around going to work, doing chores, doing odd jobs here and there, wherever. And it's kind of like you just don't have a lot of room to engage in something spontaneous, to engage in a creative pursuits. I do understand there is a routine overload. There is a routine overload. But I still feel like if I was to give someone the time, the money to go pursue what they want to pursue, a vast majority would just engage in passive entertainment. Like, I still feel like a vast majority would just literally just sit at home all day, just watching Netflix, your Apple TVs, just literally scrolling on YouTube, TikTok, whatever. And trust me, I do like my YouTube. Don't get me wrong. I like my Apple TV as well. Don't get me wrong. I do like those, but when you're coming up with all these things of like, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go this and that, whatever, it's like you're meant to do those things. You're meant to just do more than just sit at home all day and just watch Netflix or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like you're meant to do so much more than that. And like learning new things is scary. Like it is scary. Like I've been learning how to swim for a bit now. Like a year, about a year and a half now. A year and a half I've been trying to learn how to swim. I can't swim very well. Like please allow me. I'm still trying out here. But even when I was even getting into that, like I was like, let me just give it a go, see what it's like. I was still learning. I still need to put more practice in, but eventually I'll get there. So like learning new things is scary, but that's the beauty. I'm sorry about that. Please, we're filming on a budget, so please allow me. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, trying new things is scary. It's absolutely scary. But you're going to be sitting there at 55 years old saying to yourself, why didn't I do that? What was I so afraid of? Why not just do this? Why did I not try? Because the way I like to think about things is like, yesterday I was 8 years old. Today I'm 23. Tomorrow I'm going to be 55. Even if you're 55 years old, you can still try new things. You can still engage in the world. You can still be whoever you want to be. So, anyways, I created a little short story to help convey my ideas a little bit better. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you think of it. Well, enjoy it. Meet Jane, a woman who was confident but not arrogant, that was both captivating and humbling. She was always ready to lend a helping hand, or a listening ear, or be a beacon of encouragement. Her natural warmth could make one feel at ease. She was the type that could light up a room by just walking in. She graduated with high academic honors in cybersecurity from the University of London, where her talents did not go unnoticed. Known for her sharp intellect, her colleagues respect her not only for her technical prowesses, but her unwavering leadership and problem-solving abilities. She was assistant lead of cybersecurity at a global tech firm. She was the type of woman everyone looked at as just had it all figured out. Despite what people thought of her, those closest to her know behind all the accolades, career progression, and life milestones, she still questioned if what she was doing was enough. She would ask questions of, is she truly living up to her potential? Is there more she could do? Is she giving up on her dreams? Like every other human being, she faced life-hurling obstacles and dead ends in paths she decided to take. She was human after all. Before cracking codes, understanding algorithms, securing networks, responding to late work emails, she was something else. A runner, a fierce competitor with dreams of becoming an Olympian one day. Her love from running derived from him, her grandfather. He was her biggest inspiration. The man would lace up his tattered shoes. These shoes were frayed from the tips of years of use. The fabric was stretched, a little too loose around the sides, and the heels, now softened with age, had lost the bounce they once had. Nevertheless, he still loved them with every fiber of his being. Even as he aged, he would still run alongside her every Sunday without fail. He would still show up at every meet and cheer with such glee and excitement, beaming with pride as she crossed the finishing line. A few years ago, he passed away, and with him, the love for running got buried too. Running wasn't just a sport for Jane, it was a connection to her grandfather, the man who taught her the meaning of perseverance and discipline. Since he was no longer alive, she blamed life for taking what she held so close to her heart. At the age of 25, life handed her a different race: motherhood. When she fell pregnant with her daughter Winter, she put her life on hold to welcome her child with her loving husband Eliza. The crack faded into a distant memory as she began a new chapter of her life. Jane had worked at the global tech firm for 8 years. What started out as an internship straight out of university had blossomed into a career she was proud of. Over the years, she worked relentlessly, proving herself as not just competent, but exceptional. From the beginning, Jane was determined to carve her own path in a male-dominated world of cybersecurity. Now, as an assistant lead, she had been eyeing up the role of lead cybersecurity ever since it was mentioned in a company meeting. It wasn't just a promotion. It was a recognition of everything she had worked for, a position that validated her skills and expertise. When the job officially opened up, Jane knew she was ready. She had the experience, the qualifications, and the track record that spoke for itself. With a master's degree in cybersecurity from the University of London and years of hands-on experience leading projects, she felt confident walking into the interview process. The entire process had gone flawlessly. Each interview stage, each discussion about her qualifications, her leadership, her commitment to the firm, By the time the final stage came around, Jane felt more than confident. She had done the work, she had earned the right to be there, and in her mind, the job was hers. Her husband, Eliza, worked away and would call her the night before and give her a pep talk the day before, just to encourage Jane to do her best in the interviews. Jane reached the final stages of the interview, which felt like a formality. She and another candidate, a man from within the company, were the final two in the running. Jane could feel the energy in the room, the hiring manager's attention fixed on her, nodding as she spoke, clearly impressed by her responses. Then came the final question, the one that caught her completely off guard, the one she did not prepare for. The question was, are you planning to have another child within the next 6 months? The words hung in the air like a weight. Jane paused, her mind racing. She had a daughter and loved being a mother, but the idea of expanding the family just wasn't on the horizon right now. Still, the question lingered uncomfortably. Her instincts were to say no, but for a brief moment she hesitated. Was the question even relevant? It felt like an invasion of her personal life, but she didn't want to overthink it. With a quick, steady breath, she answered no. But the moment she spoke, she could sense it. The subtle shift in her room, a change in tone, a slight tightening in the atmosphere. It was as if something had changed, though no one spoke it out loud. Days later, Jane received an email. They had decided to go with the other candidates. The frustration hit her like a punch to the gut. She had done everything right. She had proven her worth time and time again. The rejection felt like more than just a professional setback. It felt personal. The sense of injustice gnawed at her, and the more she thought about it, the angrier she became. Rather than letting the frustration eat away at her, Jane decided to channel it somewhere else. She didn't know why, but something inside her stirred, a desire to prove herself, not just to the company, but to the world. Running had always been her escape, her passion, the dream she put on hold for motherhood, for career, for everything else. But now, as she looked at the shoes that had been gathering dust in her closet, she felt a spark of determination. Maybe she was older now, but she didn't care. She would run again, not just for herself, but to remind herself that she was capable of more than what others thought of her. That despite the setback, despite the hesitation, she still had the power to chase her dreams, no matter the obstacles. She wasn't going to let this define her. She was going to run, and she was going to prove to the world what she was made of. 2 days passed, and her alarm she set the previous day blared at 4:30 a.m. She would quickly turn it off, not to disturb the sleep of her husband. She would roll out of bed as quietly as possible to begin her early morning grind. Most morning, the air was sharp, biting at her skin. She had trained through cold mornings, scorching afternoons, and raining evenings. If the weather was bad, it didn't matter. If she was tired, too bad. The track didn't care about excuses. She started with a slow jog, shaking off the sleep from her muscles. After a mile, she shifted into dynamic stretches, high knees, butt kicks, lunges, preparing her body for the intensity ahead. Then came the real work, speed and endurance training, mixed with strength and explosive training, depending on the schedule she had developed with her training coach. By 6:30, her training was done, and would rush home, shower quickly, and wake Winter up for school. She would get her ready for school, drop her off, and then headed for her second battlefield, her tech firm. The moment her shift ended, Jane was out her chair, shutting her laptop down, grabbing her bag in one smooth motion. She moved quickly and swiftly, weaving through the office,
offering polite nods but avoiding small talk. She had somewhere to be. By the time she reached the parking garage, her keys were already in hand. She slipped into the driver's seat, barely settling in before the engine roared to life. The drive to winter school was a race against time. A different kind of race than the ones she ran on track, but a race nonetheless. Jane had driven this route so many times she knew it like the back of her hand. She knew exactly where she could pick up speed and where the speed cameras lurked. She knew the bends, the slow zones, the pedestrian crossings. Every inch of the road was mapped into her mind. Winter knew it too. As Jane sped towards the school, Winter glanced down at her tiny wristwatch. It was almost a ritual now. A little game they played without even saying a word about it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right on cue, a familiar car pulled up at the school gates, slowing dramatically at the last second, rolling up just as Winter looked up. And there was Jane, one hand on the wheel, the other waving excitedly. Winter's face lit up, her backpack bouncing as she ran towards the car. It didn't matter how tired Jane was, how sore her legs felt, or how chaotic her day had been. This was her favorite moment of the day. Right on time. Winter chirped as she climbed in. Jane grinned, reaching over to ruffle her daughter's curls. You doubted me? Never, Winter giggled. This routine was grueling, it was exhausting, but Jane stuck to it, and boy did it pay off. At first, people didn't take her seriously. She was a 31-year-old mother who hadn't competed in nearly a decade. Most of the women she had faced had been training professionally for years. But Jane wasn't just competing, she was winning. Her first regional competition was a test, a way to gauge where she stood. She didn't just win, she dominated. Race after race, meet after meet, Jane was leaving her competition meters behind. They weren't ready for her. They didn't expect her to be this fast, this sharp, this disciplined. Every time she had crossed the finishing line first, the doubt that once sat heavy on her chest chipped away. With each victory, she reminded herself, I belong here. She had something these younger runners didn't have. A reason. She wasn't just running to win. She was running to prove something to herself, to her family, to every person who ever made her feel she wasn't enough. And after a year of relentless training, of balancing work, motherhood, being a devoted wife, and racing, Jane was 2 weeks away from an event she cared about the most. The 400-meter Olympic qualifiers. If she won this, she was going to the Olympics. She had trained for this moment. She had suffered for it, sacrificed for it. And now she had one shot. One race to prove to the world and to herself that she could do this. 1 week before the qualifiers. One afternoon collecting Winter from school. The drive home was heavy with silence. Winter's slumped shoulders and absent stare out the window gave the notion that something was off. Normally, she would be rambling about her day, kicking her feet up with excitement as she talked about school. But today, nothing. Jane glanced at her in a rearview mirror. Something was wrong. She asked once casually, Is everything okay? A pause, then a half-hearted shrug. Just tired. Jane didn't believe it. As soon as she pulled into the driveway, Winter unbuckled her seatbelt too quickly. The moment the car was stationary, she was out, running inside, up the stairs, and into her room before Jane could even get her keys from the ignition. A second later, a sharp slam of her bedroom door. Jane sat in the car for a moment, gripping the wheel and exhaling slowly. Winter never slams doors. Inside the house, the quiet was unnerving. Jane made her way upstairs, stopping outside Winter's room before easing the door open. The sight made her heart sink. Winter was curled up on her bed, face buried in her pillows, shoulders shaking just slightly. She wasn't crying, not fully, but Jane could tell she was fighting it. She sat down, gently on the edge of the bed, running a hand over Winter's back, slow and steady. No words yet, just presence, just warmth. Minutes passed before Winter shifted, pulling her head from the pillows just enough to be heard. The boys at school had been saying things, that her mother was going to lose, that she wasn't fast enough, that there was no point in trying. Jane felt the heat of anger rise in her chest, sharp and immediate, but she didn't let it show. She couldn't. Instead, she just reached for Winter's hands, squeezing them lightly, steadying them both. She wanted to say something, to tell Winter they were wrong, that she was strong, that none of it mattered, but the truth sat heavy in her own chest. The race was days away now. The competition was brutal. The odds were stacked. And deep down, Jane knew it. Winning wasn't just unlikely, it was nearly impossible. She would have to muster up every advantage she could find. But with a smile, Jane whispered, "I got this." Qualifier day. The stadium buzzed with energy, thousands of voices mixing into a low, electric hum that settled deep in Jane's chest. The air was thick, not just with heat, but with pressure. The kind that tightened in her throat, crawled into her stomach, made her pulse thump just a little too hard. She stood at the starting line, shaking her arms out, rolling her shoulders back, forcing herself to breathe. This was it. She glanced to her left, then her right. 6 other women, all fierce, all hungry. Some of them had been here before. She was the outsider, the mother, the one they hadn't expected to get this far. But she belonged here. She dropped into position. On your marks. The murmurs in the crowd softened, then fell to nothing. The stadium held its breath. Jane focused straight ahead. She had to get this start right, if she had any chance at all. It would come down to those first few meters. Set. Her muscles coiled, tightened, and ready. She exploded off the blocks, arms pumping, legs driving hard against the track. It was a perfect start, blistering, faster than she'd ever opened a race before, and she knew it immediately. It came at a cost. 400 meters was a brutal race. Too slow, and you leave yourself too much work. Too fast, and the last 100 meters feel like you're drowning. But Jane didn't have a choice. If she was going to stand a chance against these women, she had to take the risk. For the first 200 meters, she was flying. The crowd roared, voices rising in waves of excitement as she surged ahead. Leading the pack, she could hear her own name being shouted. Jane, 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 but it all blurred together, lost in the rush of the air and the pounding of her heartbeat. Then came the final bend, and she felt it. The fatigue, the lactic acid surging through her legs like fire, her body begging for her to slow down, to let up just a little. The others felt it too, but they had trained for this moment, paced for this moment. They started closing in. Jane fought, arms tightening, strides shortening, but she could feel them coming. The crowd was deafening now, clamoring with joy, disbelief, excitement, because the race was shifting. She could hear the footsteps catching her. Then, one passed. Jane gritted her teeth. Keep pushing. Another passed. Her legs felt like lead. The finish line was right there, but so were they. Another. And just like that, she slipped out of podium position. She threw herself forward, crossing the line, her entire body giving out the moment she did. She collapsed onto the track, gasping, staring up at the sky as her chest heaved for air. It was over. The speakers blared with the official results, but she already knew. She'd given everything. Absolutely everything. And still, it wasn't enough. Jane, still laying on the track, her chest rising and falling in sharp, uneven breaths. Her muscles burned, Her throat was raw, and her body felt like it had been wrung dry, but none of that compared to the weight settling in her chest. Heavy, suffocating. She had lost. Not just a race, but everything she had pushed for. The world around her was moving. Her competitors were being embraced, cameras flashed, the crowd was buzzing from the spectacle of the race. But Jane, she didn't want to move, didn't want to stand up, didn't want to face it. She had given everything, poured her soul into early mornings, every late night run, every sacrifice. She had taken the risk, bet on herself when no one else did. And still, it wasn't enough. Somewhere in the stands, she knew Winter was watching. The thought made her stomach twist. Her daughter believed in her, defended her, told those boys at school they were wrong. And yet, they weren't. She had let her down. The camera crew swept in, catching every motion, every moment of triumph, but not hers. She turned her face away, pulling her knees up, hiding her expression behind her arms as she tried to swallow the lump in her throat. For months, she had fought to prove she belonged here. Now, all she wanted to do was disappear. The changing room was silent, except for the distant echoes of celebrations from the stadium. Jane sat alone on the bench, staring at the floor, her race uniform still damp with sweat, her body aching in ways she couldn't have felt before. But the real pain wasn't in her legs or in her lungs, it was in her chest. She had stayed back longer than necessary, avoiding the world, avoiding them, her family, her coach, her teammates. She wasn't ready to face her disappointment, wasn't ready to see it reflected in their eyes. The door creaked open. Jane didn't look up. Maybe if she stayed long enough, whoever it was would take the hint and leave. But then, small, familiar footsteps. Winter. Before Jane could say anything, she felt her daughter's tiny arms wrap around her, holding her tight, as she could squeeze the pain right out of her. Eliza stood nearby, holding their daughter's bag, his expression soft, understanding. He knew Jane was fighting to hold herself together. Jane forced a smile, using every last ounce of strength to look okay, to be strong. Because if there was one thing she couldn't bear, it was letting Winter see her break. But this was harder than running the race. Winter pulled back slightly, looking up at her. Her eyes were bright, unwavering. "I'm proud of you, Mum." And just like that, Jane lost all composure. The tears came fast, too fast to stop, her body shaking as the weight of everything came crashing down. Winter didn't let go. She just held on tighter. Jane wiped at her face, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I lost." Winter tilted her head, as if the idea itself didn't make sense. "But you gave it everything you had." Jane swallowed, her heart pounding. Winter continued, her voice so full of certainty. "How you always take care of me. How you never gave up, no matter what." She smiled. "You are a winner to me." Jane pulled her daughter in again, holding her close as if she was trying to absorb her strength. Winter had so much of her granddad in her. The spark, the belief, the quiet, unshakable confidence that winning wasn't just about coming first. Back at school, the boys were waiting. "Told you," one sneered. "Your mum was slow." Winter didn't argue. She didn't frown. She just smiled, with a twinkle in her eyes, because they didn't understand. But she did, and that was enough.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that little short story. It took me a little bit longer to make that. I care to admit, I'll be so honest. But anyways, so with that story, just helped me convey my ideas a little bit better in terms of like, even though she failed, like there's still learning curves from there. Like even her daughter just seeing her mother just putting out work is inspiring to her. So more than likely she's going to want to do the same thing for herself in terms of just doing her absolute best. Do you know what I mean? Like even though she failed, she could still go again. Even though she failed, she might decide cybersecurity is not really her thing. She wants to be a coach. Like the possibilities are endless. And that all stemmed from her trying, giving it a go. Even though she failed, she could go again, she could not, but it's just ultimately trying. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy that story. So I want you guys to imagine a scenario for me. Yeah, just bear with me. Yeah, let me land. All right. So imagine, yeah, there's this baby. Yeah, it's about 8 months to a year and a half old. Yeah. So with this baby, babies are very defenseless. They're heavily reliant on the parents or guardian. They have next to no motor skills, no sort of dexterity on them. Okay, they can barely think for themselves. They can't detect any sort of threats or dangers. So the baby is just heavily relying on the parent or guardian. Now, imagine with this baby, yeah, there's one day it decided it wanted to walk. Just get up and walk. So one day the baby stood up, swaying from left to right, like it's just down 60 shots of Hennessy. Down like 60 shots of Hennessy, yeah. Swaying left and right, swaying left and right. And then decides to put his left foot forward. Bang. Now, the parents and guardians are looking like, yo, what's going on? The baby puts a right foot forward. Bang. Now everyone's gassed. Now everyone's like, yo, this is crazy. This is crazy. The parent will stick out the arms for the baby to walk towards, and the baby starts getting a little closer, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Now the baby's about a step away now, about a step away. And then like as Val takes this step, he just sways, loses balance, and just falls straight onto his arse. Falls straight onto his arse. Now the baby's looking up like, I was walking a minute ago. Now I'm on my ass. What's going on? But with the parents, guardians, they're absolutely showering this baby with kisses, hugs, the whole lot. And they just are so happy with that moment because the baby tried. It took its first steps. And this baby was you. This baby is you. Like your parents or guardians, whoever, remember vividly the first steps you took. They remember vividly like it was yesterday. And that all came from you trying. That all came from you trying. And you have no recollection of this part of your life. But your parents remember it so well. So well. Now imagine if I were to create a way to adopt some of the mindset some people have nowadays and just put it in that baby, that 8-month-old baby. After a few failed attempts, that baby would just stop walking. It will stop walking, I can't do it, whatever. It's just stop walking, just start crawling everywhere or dragging itself everywhere. Bottom line is you're going to fail. You're going to fail again and again and again. But you got to keep trying. You got to keep walking. You got to keep moving. So whether you have the idea of going to the gym, starting a new YouTube channel, that podcast idea you had, that TikTok page you wanted to make, chuck some fashion fits on that thing or some cooking videos, whatever it may be, start a business, even just engage in new hobbies. Maybe you wanted to go to a dance class, whatever it may be. Just try. Give it a go. Give it a go. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to go perfect on the first attempt. It's not going to be smooth sailing. But you got to give yourself the opportunity. You have got to try. Well, that's all from me today. In this section, I just want to say a huge thank you for the love and support you guys showed on my very first video. I'm actually just so appreciative of it, honestly. Like, I got quite a few comments and even some personal DMs. Just wish me good luck. Just saying, no, you got courage for doing this sort of stuff. And yeah, that did really make me feel good. So honestly, I appreciate that. It really did encourage me to just like keep doing this, just see where it takes me, and just sort of learning, growing, and all that sort of good stuff. So thank you guys so much. You know, you hit like 25 subscribers. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of a big deal around here. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of, but thank you. Yeah, I don't really have much to say. Like, look at the time. Time is 2:40 in the morning on the Sunday. I even have work in there. Oh God, please. Oh God, I don't even want to think about that. But thank you guys, honestly. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one.